Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
Right.
Donald Trump twisted himself into knots trying to explain why maybe he wouldn't declassify documents related to his former bestie, Jeffrey Epstein. He says that it's because it could contain information that's phony and hurt people. Never mind the fact that the whole idea behind declassification is to actually get to the truth. The idea is that you think that whatever version of the facts is out there isn't true. So you need to declassify it to get to the truth.
Whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would definitely do the January 6th.
But evidently he thinks that the more factual information that's out there might actually hurt people, but we know in Trump speak it means that it might actually hurt him.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. All right. I guess I would. I think that less so.
That was a bit suspicious, right? And why though? Like, why are you so weird with the Epstein stuff? It's not like Donald Trump has any particular reason to not want the Epstein files opened up.
So why might Donald Trump be worried about declassifying these documents? I mean, we know that they have a very strong connection, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. They had a friendship for years, and we've seen a lot of photographic evidence of that. But tying him to whether or not he knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing with those underage girls is a little bit more difficult. The New York Times, though, is reported about an event that a Florida businessman held for Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump back in 1992, when things were not as obvious to the rest of us of what Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. He evidently flew in 28 girls for this, quote, calendar girl competition, and the only two men present were Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you are that in closely connection with a man who is a serial underage rapist, and you're at an event with 28 girls, you have to question of whether or not you have seen anything or been participating in anything unseemly. So in the interview with the Florida businessman, Mr. Horney, who created this calendar girl competition event, it becomes more clear that people at the time knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and that Donald Trump, if he didn't know, should have known and probably did know, because he remembers saying to Donald Trump this. He said, quote, "Look, Donald, I know Jeff really well. I can't have him going after younger girls." He said, "Look, I'm putting my name on this. I wouldn't put my name on it and have a scandal." He said that he pretty much had to ban Jeff from my events, and quote, Trump didn't care about that. But you actually don't even have to take Mr. Horney's word for what Donald Trump knew. You have the infamous quote by Donald Trump himself back in 2002. He said, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy," end quote. Quote, "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side," end quote.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
If you notice, every other question he answered immediately. Yes, yes, yes. But with the Epstein question, he wasn't so sure.
I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Phony stuff. So according to Trump, the election was rigged, the debates are rigged, his criminal trials are rigged, and now the Epstein files are rigged. Or maybe the lives Donald Trump is scared of affecting are his and his buddies. While MAGA tries to spread fake fake Epstein lists with names of celebrities they don't like. We have real ones from the courts. Epstein flight logs were released in 2021 during his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, and Donald Trump appeared in the flight logs at least 7 times. Or how about the time Epstein and Maxwell rode with Trump on his plane? From New York Magazine, quote, "They did board with a young woman of indeterminate age. I wouldn't be able to tell if she was 15 or 20. She was quite dressed up and quite made up, so it was hard to tell." And remember what Trump said about Maxwell when she was on trial?
I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well.
The thing that I know from analyzing live trials over the years, many of them having to do with sexual abuse of women, is the person who does these kind of things has always done it, and people around them can tell. So the fact that Donald Trump is willing to say out in public before the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was indicted that he liked younger women, it was because he most likely knew. And if he was willing to continue to associate with him, not only associate with him, but participate in the parties with the women with him, it was because if he wasn't just okay with it, he may even have been participating in it.
And how about the time Donald Trump made this admission on the Howard Stern show about what he used to do backstage during his Miss Teen USA pageant?
I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things.
And one of the things that makes it seem even creepier and more likely that Donald Trump is kind of more than okay with what Jeffrey Epstein did is how he had sex with Stormy Daniels. We heard testimony in the New York trial where he became a convicted felon, was how creepy that interaction was. How much younger. Yes, she wasn't underage, but she was much younger than Donald Trump, and how non-consensual that sexual act seemed. How she thought she was going to go to dinner and he surprised her. She was surprised that she was having sex with him. And we hear in Donald Trump's own words in the Access Hollywood tape that he's willing to do whatever he wants to women because he's a star.
I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. But I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the.
If that's not a creepy, borderline, abusive, sexual abuser, I don't really know what is. And then here he is hanging out with this man who abused underage women, and he was okay with that. And you're trying to tell me you didn't notice that about your friend? You didn't notice that nature about the friend? I have to tell you, with the years of covering trials, that's just not how life is. People usually reveal themselves, and the fact that Donald Trump was so okay with hanging out with him, and not only hanging out with him, but interacting in these events with Jeffrey Epstein is probably why Donald Trump doesn't want to declassify the documents related to Jeffrey Epstein.
One of the other things the president talked about during this interview was having a transparent presidency. And to do that, he said he might declassify some very interesting documents. Let's listen to this.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Guy, declassify Jeffrey Epstein files? What do you think? And the rest of those, that list.
That last one is extra interesting.
Yeah, it is extra interesting,
I would
right?
like to see that. I think a lot of Americans would like to see that. Sounds like a campaign promise there from the former president, possible future president. He also, let's be honest, says a lot of things. And then if he wins an election, maybe some of the promises get massaged, because that's what political figures do. It's not just unique to Donald Trump.
Right.
But those are intriguing questions, I think, and interesting answers.
Yeah.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.